BP 344 or the accessibility law. Okay, so BP 344 is very important in the exam, in the board exam, okay, because BP 344 is such an important piece of legislation that it's pretty much guaranteed, I think, na merong tanong about it in the exam. Make sure na naaral nila ng maayos yung BP 344 before they take the exam, because not only is it going to be in the exam most likely, but also medyo madali siyang aralin compared to the other laws. Okay, there's a lot of numbers that you have to remember, just like in any other law. But the numbers here in BP 344, for some reason, I find mas madaling ma-retain, mas madaling ma-digest and retain. Naaral mo siya ng maayos for the exam. Kasi sayang. Okay? So yeah, let's begin. The first part of BP 344 is outside and around buildings. This portion, this chapter is about the features, the accessibility features that must be provided outside buildings, meaning sa labas, like in the parang exterior environment. What accessibility features must be provided for that environment to ensure na yung environment nga na yun is friendly to PWDs. Okay, so right away, BP 344 talks about drop curbs and curb cutouts. Before we go into the details though, I'd like to take a step back and just look at it big picture. Okay, ask ourselves, what problem are we trying to solve here? Because these two, drop curb, curb cutout, they're solutions to a problem, to the same problem actually. And what is that problem? That problem is mas mataas yung sidewalk dun sa kalsada. Compared sa kalsada, naka-elevate yung sidewalk, right? Mas mataas siya, usually maybe a few inches higher, 200 millimeters higher. So anyway, the problem with that is yung step down na yun, yung step down sa sidewalk, from the sidewalk to the road, step down, that's not considered accessible. Okay, for BWDs, that is, that's not an acceptable transition. Okay, and the drop curb and the curb cutout are the solution to that problem. Okay, so the first solution is the dropped curb. Let's take a look at the picture first. So this is the drop curb. So first of all, when we say drop curb, we're referring to this portion. So this is a sidewalk. This is a crossing, meaning tawiran sa daan, sa kalsada. And as you can see in the drop curb solution, the sidewalk essentially parang is lowered to the level of the road. Okay, ang purpose is, yun nga, if you're a PWD and you need to cross the road, this is where you can cross easily. Okay, walang step down. So when we say drop curb, strictly speaking, ito yung drop curb, this portion that was lowered. Okay, these are just parang ramps connecting the drop curb to the regular sidewalk. Okay, so you pretty much understand how it works, I'm sure. Let's go over the details now. So sabi ng BP 344, changes in level in walkways should be by a drop curb. Okay, we don't say it yet, pero pwede rin actually curb cutout. Pero yeah, for now, let's just say drop curb. Drop curb should be provided at pedestrian crossings and at the end of walkways. Now, parang details, as for the details of the design of the drop curb, nakalagay dito, the drop curb at crossings must have a width equal to the width of the crossing, but it should never be less than 900 millimeters wide. So ang sinasabi natin is, yung lapad ng drop curb, which is this, it should be equal to the width of the crossing. Meaning, kung gaano kalapad yung crossing, ganun din dapat kalapad yung drop curb. Okay, but in no case can the drop curb be less than 900 millimeters wide. Meaning, if this crossing, normally you just match whatever this is, that's how wide the drop curb should be. But if this is less than 900 millimeters wide, yung crossing mo is narrower than 900 millimeters, then you have to increase the drop curb to 900 because you can't go less than 900 millimeters wide for your drop curb. Another thing, drop curb should be ramped towards adjoining curbs with a gradient not steeper than 1:12. Ito naman yun. Okay? So from the drop curb to the sidewalk, to the regular sidewalk, ang transition dapat is a ramp. Okay? A ramp, maximum slope ng ramp, 1:12. Okay. Drop curb should also be sloped towards the road with a maximum cross gradient of 1:20 to prevent water from collecting at the walkway. And the lowest point of the drop curb should not be more than 25 millimeters above the road or the gutter. Okay, these two things are easier to explain with illustrations. So the first one says na dapat daw nakaslope yung drop curb towards the the road or the gutter with a maximum slope of 1:20. Ito naman yun. So this is a section of the drop curve. Okay, so dito, ito yung kalsada, ito yung gutter. Okay, and then ito yung regular sidewalk natin. This is our drop curve. Now, if you look at the first illustration here, if you look at this, you might think that this drop curve, this surface is a flat surface, like a perfectly horizontal surface. But in section, you're going to notice it's actually not perfectly horizontal. It's actually sloped or sloping towards the gutter a tiny bit. The slope is minimal, but it's still a slope. It's not flat. And ang purpose ng slope na yan, ng minimal slope na yan, is to ensure that water does not collect in the drop curve. Kaya ayaw natin na magkaroon ng water ponding in the drop curve kasi paano mo gagamitin yung drop curve kung parang baha or kung puno siya ng tubig. So, nire-require ng BP 344, dapat nakaslope siya towards the gutter. Maximum slope of 1:20, okay, which is flatter than 1:12. It's a very mild slope, itong 1:20. And then another thing, going back here, if you look at this drawing lang, you might think that the drop curve and the road or the crossing are the same level, okay? But again, looking at the section closely, they are not the same level. The drop curve is actually higher, okay? Naka-raise siya slightly. Again, ang purpose nito is the same because we don't want na mapuno siya ng tubig. Kaya itinataas natin siya ng bahagya. And BP 344 is fine with that. BP 344 just says, wag lang lalagpas ng 25 millimeters yung angat. Pwede siyang iangat ng bahagya, wag lang lalagpas ng 1 inch or 25 millimeters. Kasi any higher than that is considered parang step down na ulit eh. Which is again what the exact thing that we were trying to avoid, diba? So anyway, so those are the specs for the drop curve. Let's now go to the other solution, which is the curb cut out. So it's defined here. Well, it's not really defined here. Nakalagay, a curb cut out is only allowed when it will not obstruct a walkway or make the walkway narrower than required. I have to show you first what a curb cut out looks like. So this is what a curb cut out looks like. What are we looking at? So this is your parang regular walkway or sidewalk. Ito yung kalsada. And again, imagine lang na parang may tawiran dito. Okay, tatawid ka. So kailangan mong bumaba from the sidewalk to the road. Okay, again, one option, one transition that you can do is the drop curve, yung kanina. But this is your second option. You can also do this. Ito yung curb cut out. So in this solution, as you can see, I mean, you pretty much understand what the difference is. But essentially, we're parang making a cut out para makapag-fit tayo ng ramp going down. Okay, again, we're trying to avoid yung step down. So we're doing a ramp. So ito yung curb cut out. So ano yung requirements, ano yung limitations for the curb cut out? First, you can only do this if it will not obstruct a walkway or make the walkway narrower than required. So ito yung walkway natin, yung sidewalk is the walkway. We haven't gone to it yet, but I'm saying this early na may minimum lapad, may minimum width yung walkway. It's 1.2 meters lapad, minimum. What we're saying about curb cut outs right now is pwede ka mag-curb cut out, but you have to make sure na meron ka pa ring 1.2 meter clearance for your sidewalk over here. Okay, if doing a curb cut out will result in a narrower sidewalk, like less than 1.2, then you shouldn't do a curb cut out. Okay, you should do a drop curb instead. Okay, so again, you only do this in curb cut out solution if you have enough space for it. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now the minimum width of the curb cut out is 900 millimeters, and the maximum slope of the curb cut out is 1:12. So yung lapad niya minimum 900, and slope as always is 1:12. Alright, let's now talk about walkways. Para lang madaling magets, para madaling maintindihan, think of sidewalks. When we say walkways, just imagine sidewalks. A walkway is really any surface that pedestrians are supposed to walk on. But again, para madaling magets, just think of sidewalks. So what are the requirements? First, walkways should be as level as possible and finished with a slip-resistant material. Okay, as level as possible and hindi madulas. Minimum width ng walkway is 1.2 meters, which we already mentioned, no, in kanina, dun sa curb cut out. Maximum longitudinal gradient or longitudinal slope is 1:20, and maximum cross gradient is 1:100. So pag sinabing longitudinal gradient, ito yung slope along the length of the walkway. Meaning, naglalakad ka sa walkway or sa sidewalk and nakaslope siya downwards, or paakyat yung lakad mo, pababa yung lakad mo. Yun yung longitudinal gradient or slope. Okay? Pwede bang sloping yung walkway or sidewalk? Yes. Wag lang steeper than 1:20. Okay? Ano yung cross gradient? Ito naman yung slope towards the gutter or towards the road. Parang nakatagilid ng konti. Nakatilt yung walkway slightly towards the gutter. Okay? Pwede ba yun? Yes. Basta ang maximum slope is 1:100, which is that's a very mild, that's a very flat slope. Okay? It's flatter than 1:20, so you will barely notice this. But yeah, if you wanted to do a slope for the walkway towards the gutter, you could do that. Wag lang steeper than 1:100. Okay, so this is an illustration. This is a section again of a walkway. Again, minimum width niya 1.2 meters. And yung sinasabi nating 1:100 na cross slope or cross gradient is yung slope from here to the gutter. Again, this is probably flat or maybe it is sloping, I don't know. Pero ang 1:100 kasi na slope is nearly flat. You would barely notice that. But yeah, pwede mo siyang gawing sloping from here to there. Pag ganyan yung slope niya. Okay, 1:100. Very flat slope, probably just to drain water, to direct water towards the gutter. Okay, other things about walkways. Avoid locating gratings within walkways. Ito yung parang drain covers. Okay? We try not to place this within sidewalks or walkways kasi it could become an accessibility problem. Okay? Parang may butas-butas yon that could become an issue. Especially, I would imagine that it would be especially troublesome for people na merong crutches or yung saklay. People wearing heels maybe. Bottom line, try not to locate these gratings or drain covers within the sidewalk. Kung kaya mong ilipat or ilocate dun sa roadside, dun sa carriageway, better. Okay, but if you must locate it within the walkway, like wala ka talagang choice, you have to place it within the walkway, some requirements from BP 344, make sure that the grating openings, yung mga butas-butas ng drain cover, are not larger than 13 by 13 millimeters, and make sure they're not projecting by more than 6.5 millimeters above the walkway. Okay, just to show that illustration. So, ito yun. So, first of all, if you can avoid doing this within the sidewalk or the walkway, better. Okay, mas magandang walang ganyan. This is a drain cover, may butas-butas siya. Kung pwedeng ilipat sa kalsada, better. Okay, pero kung ilalagay mo sa sidewalk, number one, make sure na yung butas is not bigger than 13 by 13 millimeters. Okay? Number two, kung kaya mong pagpantayin, like yung drain cover and yung sidewalk are the same level, better. Pero kung kailangan mo talaga, kung hindi siya kayang pagpantayan, like hindi masyadong maayos yung workmanship, for example, say nakaangat siya or nakalubog, okay lang naman daw as long as the height difference is not greater than 6.5 millimeters. Okay? Parang may tolerance tayo. We can tolerate a difference of 6.5 millimeters, but anything beyond that is beyond tolerance, unacceptable, and must be rectified because considered as parang inaccessible na siya. Hindi na siya PWD friendly. Okay? Also, walkways should have a level surface without abrupt pitches and angular interruptions by cracks or breaks, creating edges above 6.5. That's, yeah, essentially the same thing. Sinasabi lang nun is, kunyari nagkaroon ka ng crack sa pavement in the sidewalk, sometimes those cracks could result in height differences or level differences, like one surface could become higher than the adjacent surface. Okay? So may height difference. We're just saying, if the height difference is only 6.5 millimeters, then we can tolerate it. Again, if it's beyond that, say, like 8 or 10 millimeters na yung height difference, pwede na yung makatisod, pwede na siyang makapatid, so it has to be rectified simply because it's beyond our 6.5 millimeter tolerance. Okay, now, for long walkways, you have to provide turning spaces or rest stops. The minimum clearances for the turning space is 1.5 by 1.5 meters. The maximum gap between them is 12 meters. This is much easier to understand in the drawing. So here we're looking at a sidewalk or a walkway. Ito yung tinatawag na rest stop. Okay, this space. As you can see, this is a portion of the sidewalk that's wider. Kasi yung normal sidewalk natin is 1.2 meters. But here, this is a clear space of 1.5 by 1.5 meters. So, ang purpose niya is, well, either it's a rest stop or a turning space. So this is either, maybe, kung naka-wheelchair ka, this is a convenient place to make a turn, no? A U-turn, for example, kasi it's much roomier than the sidewalk. And also, pwede rin siyang rest stop, kunyari, dalawang naka-wheelchair na kasalubungan. Maybe it would be tricky for them na pagkasyahin dito, like dalawa sila dun sa 1.2. This is much roomier. dito sila pwede magsalubong. Okay? So are these required for long walkways? Yes. BP 344 didn't really explain what long walkways are. Like when is a walkway considered long? It's not really clear. So it's safer to assume na it's just required for sidewalks, period. So they're required. They have to be 1.5 by 1.5. How many of them should you have? There's no fixed number. The guidelines more about the maximum distance between them. The maximum gap between one turning space and another turning space is 12 meters. Okay, 12 meters maximum gap between them. Every 12 meters dapat merong turning space. I find that a bit worrisome kasi it's not exactly every 12 meters. Kasi when you say every 12 meters, it sounds like 12 meters siya center to center, which it isn't center to center 12 meters. Like if you look at this, para siyang edge to edge siya 12 meters, not center to center. Okay, so I'm just saying, be careful how you try to remember this in your head. Like don't say every 12 meters dapat may turning space because hindi siya center to center. It's better to say the maximum gap between the turning spaces is 12 meters. Okay. All right. Next, to guide the blind, walkways should follow a straightforward route if possible and with right angle turns. So it sounds a lot more like a request than a strict requirement really. Pero yeah, they're requesting na number one, para daw hindi mahirapan yung blind when it comes to orientation and wayfinding. Kung pwede, sana tuwid, no, diretso, straightforward yung sidewalk or yung walkway. Okay? And second, kung merong turn, dapat right angle turns. Okay? Pag sinabing right angle, 90 degrees, meaning full left or full right turns as much as possible. Because mas madaling ma-preserve yung orientation, yung kanilang sense of direction when they're making parang full right or full left turns lang instead of awkward angle turns like 45-degree turns, 30-degree turns. Parang medyo mabilis ka madi-disorient if the turns are like that. So again, hanggat kaya dapat daw 90-degree turns and diretso lang dapat yung walkways. Next, minimum walkway headroom 2 meters. So hindi lang lapad, no? May minimum width tayo na 1.2. But we also have a minimum vertical clearance or headroom, it's 2 meters. No obstructions can reduce or should reduce these required clearances to less than what's required. Again, what's required is 1.2 wide and 2 meters tall. Okay, so all other things, plants, trees, columns, bollards, those things, dapat yan, yung mga halaman, for example, dapat tinitrim, yung bollards, etc., dapat nakalocate correctly to ensure that these clearances are provided. Another thing, handrails should be installed on both sides of ramps and stairs and at the outer edges of dropped curbs. So, ito yun. This is pretty well known, I think. A lot of students already know this. But in BP 344, the correct handrail design is this. Okay, first of all, there's two handrails required, no, a higher and a lower handrail. The higher handrail should be mounted at 0.9 meters from the surface, not from the floor surface or from the tread of the staircase or from the ramp surface, kung ramp. The lower one should be mounted at 0.7 meters from the surface. So dalawa sila, both are required at those exact heights. The only time that BP 344 allows us to deviate from the standard height of 0.9 and 0.7 is if we're dealing with a situation where we're protecting at great heights. No, protection at great heights, for example, mataas na balcony, say balcony on the 30th floor of a building. Protection at great heights yon. In situations like that, you can deviate from the standard. No, you can increase the height daw to 1 meter up to 1.06 meters. But other than that, dapat we follow the standard, 0.9 to 0.7. Okay? Other requirements for these handrails, they must extend beyond the start and the end points of the ramps by 300, which is easier to explain here. So ito yung ramp mo. Okay? Ito yung starting point ng ramp, ito yung ending point ng ramp. You will notice that the handrail actually extends beyond the start point and beyond the end point of the ramp. And that's because it's required. No, dapat mag-extend siya by 300. Okay, 300. Next, handrail width is 30 to 50 millimeters and handrail clearances. I'll explain this in this picture. Okay. So first, as for the handrail width, yung lapad ng handrail, ng rail itself, should be between 30 to 50 millimeters. Okay. I would like to point out na walang rule na nagsasabi na dapat bilog yung profile. We often see bilog yung profile no, in real life. Pero BP344 actually doesn't require that the profile be a circle. Okay? In fact, if you look at BP344, they have drawings showing other profiles that are just as easy to grip. So, walang requirement as to the shape of the handrail, pero merong requirement as to the width or yung lapad ng handrail. Again, it should be between 30 to 50 millimeters. Another thing that's required is yung correct mounting clearances, okay, for the handrail. Um, Kapag yung handrail mo is horizontally mounted like this, nakamount siya to the wall, minimum clearance from the wall is 50. So from the wall to the rail itself, 50. If it's vertically mounted like on a ledge like this, the minimum clearance is 40. Okay, 40 millimeters. Again, this is to ensure na madali siyang mag-grip or mahawakan because if it's mounted too close to the surface, you're going to have a more difficult time gripping the handrail. Okay, let's talk about open spaces. Open spaces are particularly disorienting for the blind. So when we say open spaces, just think of a big space na say cementado, like a park maybe, or a big plaza or a train station. Those are open spaces. So I don't know kung kasama yung train station, but in any case, the problem with open spaces is, especially kung paved sila, they're not linear elements. Okay, unlike sidewalks na it's obviously a linear element. So meron parang you know that you have to go one way or the other. Ang open space hindi parang walang inherent direction yung open space. Okay, especially kung sementado nga siya yung buong open space. Parang going here and going here and going there, they all kind of are the same. So if you're blind, it's not immediately obvious to you how you're supposed to navigate the space, in which direction you should walk in. Those things are not immediately obvious. Okay, so they could be very disorienting. So what we need to do is we have to give an aid to the blind, and the solution to this really is texture. Okay, that's the simplest version of the answer. There has to be a texture provided to the blind that they can follow and that leads them to where they want to go. Okay, nakalagay dito, a texture given through grass verges, planters with dwarf walls, or any other texture that can define the path. They have two examples here in BP344. So here, for example, imagine may plaza. Here, mayroong walkway and the rest is grass. Okay, again, there's two textures here, grass and pavement. And the blind knows na obviously yung pavement is the surface that he or she should be walking on. Okay, in this other example, pavement versus planters. Okay, but generally just a texture to follow. Okay, we see this a lot in train stations and airports and malls often. Yung meron tayong parang tactile strips on the floor. Okay, like imagine MRT station. Okay, most of you have been to train stations naman. Usually when you get to the station, you will notice merong tactile strips that lead you to key points of the station. Like there's a tactile strip, there's a line leading you to the ticketing counter, there's a line leading to the elevators probably, to the toilets. Even when you get to the platform, may mga texture indicating saan nakatapat yung pintuan. There's an entire texture along the edge of the platform to warn people, to warn the blind especially na edge yun ng platform and beyond that you might fall. So all of these textures, ito yung dapat natin i-provide so that the blind can navigate and use open spaces. Okay? So, yun. Next, signages. Signs should be readable even by people in wheelchairs and people with visual impairments. So this means two things. Dapat tama yung mounting height, okay? Because we want people in wheelchairs to be able to read these signages easily. And dapat maganda rin, readable, very easy to read yung design. Because even people with visual impairments, kunyari malabo yung mata, extremely malabo yung mata, you want them to have an easy time reading the signage, and that's something you can achieve through design. So here, nakalagay, they must be simple and easy to understand. You must use contrasting colors and contrasting gray values. Okay, so again, it should be readable by people in wheelchairs. We'll give you the specific mounting heights in a bit. As for the design, again, contrasting colors. So in this example, we see that the background now is blue and the symbols are white. Okay, I would imagine that the blue that they're going to use for the background would be a very dark blue kasi dapat contrasting gray values as well eh. So that white should be against a very dark blue para magkaroon ng contrast in gray value and therefore para maging easy siya to read. Okay, so yun. There are also standard symbols, no international symbols for accessibility that must be used for signages. Okay, now for the height, ito yung correct height according to BP 344. If you're going to mount the signage on doors and on walls, the maximum height should be 1.6 and the minimum should be 1.4. So minimum 1.4, maximum 1.6. The signage should be within this zone. Okay, anywhere higher or lower would be less than ideal. For signages also, the symbols and the letters and the numbers should be embossed or parang naka-raise from the surface of the signage. Hindi siya yung parang flat printed signage lang. Mas maganda kung nakaangat ng konti yung text and signage para pwedeng kapain ng blind. They should be embossed by at least 1 millimeter from the surface of the signage. And also again, for the benefit of the blind, braille symbols should be included. Now let's talk about crossings. Again, crossings meaning tawiran sa kalsada. The goal here is to ensure na mabilis nakakatawid ang tao sa kalsada because the quicker that they can cross the road, the safer it is for them. And vice versa, the longer that they're on the road crossing, the longer they're exposed to cars and other vehicles, and therefore the longer they're exposed to danger. So we want them to cross quickly, to get back on the other sidewalk as quickly as possible. So what can we do to help with that problem? So 3 measures here. First, you want to design your crossing to be perpendicular to the carriageway as much as possible. 90 degrees or perpendicular to the carriageway. Hindi siya dapat slanted because a slanted line is going to be longer. It's going to be a longer crossing. And that's not what we want. Gusto natin maikli lang yung tawiran. So kung wala namang dahilan para maging slanted pa yung tawiran, dapat diretso lang, perpendicular to the carriageway. Second, try to locate the crossing at the narrowest, most convenient part of the carriageway. Again, this is parang when you hear something like this, it's not something you immediately think of, right? But when you hear it, it makes sense. Okay, kung yung kalsada mo is wider in some portions and narrower in other portions, obviously, kung pwede namang sa narrower portion yung tawiran, mas magandang dun mo ilagay. Parang kasi mas mabilis tumawid dun sa narrower portion. Okay, and finally, the third one is probably the most important one, yung central refuge requirement. The crossing should have a central refuge area at least 1.5 meters deep, but preferably 2 meters deep, as a mid-crossing shelter if the width of the road to be crossed exceeds 10 meters. So ito yun. So here, again, we're looking at a crossing. So sidewalk, crossing, sidewalk. This is the road we're crossing. This requirement, the one for central refuge areas, applies to crossings that are longer than 10 meters. So if this is longer than 10 meters, you have to provide this, no, ito yung tinatawag natin na central refuge area. No? This is an area where the pedestrian can take refuge. Okay? This is going to be helpful, especially for those na hindi kayang tumawid ng mabilis. No? Suppose you were given, you're given 20 seconds to cross this. Okay? And most people are probably going to be able to cross it within 20 seconds. But what if there was a PWD or an elderly person who couldn't finish crossing it in 20 seconds? For that person, pwedeng i-cross nyo muna yung first half of the road, stop here, okay? And then wait for the light to go green again to cross the remaining half. Okay, now this shelter, this refuge area, is going to be a safe space for them to stop kasi hindi siya part ng carriageway. Again, ang minimum depth niya, pag sinabing depth meaning ito, okay, minimum depth niya is 1.5, pero kung kayang gawing 2 meters, that's the preferred depth. Okay, try to locate crossings close to, if not exactly along the pedestrian desire line. The pedestrian desire line is yung line where people naturally want to cross. Okay, there's always going to be parang, as a pedestrian, kung ikaw yung pedestrian, there's always going to be parang the spot where kung pwedeng dito tumawid, dun ka tatawid. Okay, pero sometimes hindi dun nakalagay yung tawiran. Okay, minsan yung overpass or yung crossing would be a few meters, sometimes many meters away from where you would want to cross. where you want to cross, itong spot where you want to cross is the pedestrian desire line. Okay? Ideally, nagko-coincide dapat yung actual na tawiran, yung crossing, doon sa desire line. Okay? Kasi minsan, kapag masyado silang magkalayo, kunyari, ito yung desire line, pero yung tawiran ang layo-layo, several meters away, what some people would do is jaywalk. Kasi this is where they want to cross, pero yung tawiran mas malayo. So, sometimes they would just cross here anyway kasi ang hassle ng location ng actual na tawiran. Bottom line, kung kayang i-reconcile, kung kayang isakto doon sa desire line yung crossing, mas maganda. Okay, pero sometimes hindi talaga nag-work yung ganyan. Sometimes it will have to be a few meters away. It's a balance that needs to be struck between where people want to cross and where it's practical to locate the crossing. Also, we have to provide tactile blocks in the immediate vicinity of crossings to aid the blind. This is more of how do we communicate to the blind where the crossing is. Okay, so again, as often, I mean, it's as you've seen in past slides, the answer is often texture. Okay, so meron kang sidewalk and you want to communicate to the blind na nandito yung crossing. We do it through texture. Yun yung requirement ng BP344. So in this example, this is a drop curve. So ito yung tawiran, ito yung drop curve mo, and this is your ramp going down the drop curve. In this example, they use two textures. So linear texture for the ramp going down, and then when you get inside the actual drop curve, the texture changes to yung bilog-bilog na texture. And this tells the blind na, well, two things. It tells the blind, number one, this is the ramp. No, pag na-feel niyo yung texture na to, parang it's a warning to the blind na it's a ramp, it's going down. Okay, and then when the texture changes, it tells the blind, oh, this is now the drop curve, this is where you cross. Okay, so again, the answer is texture. Now, speaking of those tactile surfaces, ang sabi ng BP344, make sure that the tactile surface is sufficiently high to be felt through the sole of the shoe, but not too high that pedestrians will trip. Okay, so we have to strike a balance. We want this na ayaw natin ng sobrang flat ng texture na hindi mo na nararamdaman. Dapat daw nararamdaman mo through your shoes yung texture, but you don't want the texture to be too pronounced, too high either na nakakatisod na siya. So it has to be a nice balance between those two extremes. And for those who are thinking of value engineering, sinasabi ng BP344 that brushed or grooved concrete finishes are not an acceptable substitute to proper tactile strips. Okay, they usually don't provide sufficient distinction between the normal sidewalk and the tactile surface. Okay, so mas maganda pa rin bumili ng proper tactile devices. Okay, now the most beneficial form daw of crossing for PWDs is a light-controlled crossing with synchronized audible signals. This is about a different issue. So how do you tell the blind that it's time to cross the road? Okay, it's something that a lot of us take for granted kasi for most of us, we just wait for the light to go green. Once the light has gone green, we cross. We know it's time to cross. But how do you tell the blind that without, kunyari mag-isa lang yung blind and they're going to cross, or we don't want kasi the blind to have to ask for assistance all the time. Okay, you have to keep that in mind when you study BP344 or you design for accessibility. We're designing things in a way na kaya nilang gawin dapat yung mga nagagawa ng ibang tao without asking for help or without having to feel like they're a burden to others. Okay, so the goal here is that they can do it on their own. So without asking for help, how do you tell them? How do you communicate to them na it's time to cross? They can't see that the light is turned green, obviously. So, ang answer here is audible signals. Ang sinasabi ng BP344, bukod sa light controls, dapat meron ding audible signals para ma-communicate sa blind when it's time to cross. Meaning, pagka nag-green yung ilaw, dapat may sound din na mapoproduce so that the blind know. I mean, once they hear that sound, they know they can cross. Okay? And, hindi na nalagay sa slide pero nakalagay din sa BP344. That sound should not just, there shouldn't just be a sound. Another requirement is yung sound daw dapat ma-communicate din to the blind when the time is running out. So parang the sound shouldn't be like a constant sound. Parang dapat siguro nag-change siya. For example, if it's a beeping sound, dapat yung beeping nagiging mas urgent sounding if the time's running out so that they know that they need to hurry. Okay, again, all of those things, vital information yan na dapat na communicate sa blind. Okay. Similar topics, medyo similar to that is yung how much time should we give for pedestrians to cross the street. May sinasabi ang BP 344 about this. Ang sabi ng BP 344, you must assume a walking speed of only 0.9 meters per second, not 1.2 meters per second. And the absolute minimum time allocation is 6 seconds. So we're trying to ensure now we give the pedestrians sufficient time to cross the road. We should compute parang we must assume that the pedestrians are walking at a speed of only 0.9 meters per second. Okay? There's a common mistake according to BP 344 na 1.2 meters per second yung ina-assume. Ang sabi ng BP 344 essentially is masyadong mabilis yun, especially for PWDs. Dapat ang ina-assume lang natin 0.9 meters per second. On that basis, you can compute ilang seconds dapat yung ibigay for the road. No, depending on how wide it is, you'll give more time. But in no case should the time allocation be less than 6 seconds. Okay. All right, we move to the next topic, parking. Parking for PWDs are wider. Parking spaces for PWDs are wider than ordinary parking spaces because we're assuming na mag-unload sila ng wheelchair beside the vehicle. That's why it's wider. Okay, how much wider? 3.7 yung required width for the parking space. Now, if you recall sa building code, for a typical perpendicular parking space, the required width is only 2.5 meters. Okay, pero for PWD parking spaces, 3.7 meters yung minimum width. Other guidelines try to locate the parking space for PWDs as close as possible to the accessible entrance of the building. And also, it should be perpendicular or at least at an angle to the driveway. What this is saying is, dapat hindi pwedeng parallel parking space yung PWD parking space. Okay? Dapat perpendicular parking space siya. Kung hindi man perpendicular, pwedeng oblique or angular. Okay? Wag lang parallel. Kasi always keep in mind na we're assuming that they're going to be unloading a wheelchair beside the vehicle, and this could be dangerous kapag parallel parking space yung binigay mo. Maski sabihin mo pang naka 3.7 minimum width ka, if they're unloading beside, moving cars beside the driveway, it could be dangerous. So dapat perpendicular talaga siya, which is very clear naman in BP 344. Next, a 1.2 meter wide walkway should be provided between the front ends of parked cars from accessible parking spaces, and PWD parking spaces must be labeled accordingly. Let's go back to the drawing. So, itong PWD parking space dapat may clear markings yan for PWDs dapat naka-indicate clearly na PWD parking space siya because dapat hindi nagpa-park dito yung mga hindi naman PWD. Okay? The other requirement pertains to this. So between the front ends, ito yung front end, this is also the front end of parked cars, meron na dapat 1.2 meter clear space. Ang purpose nito is to provide parang a safe walkway. Kasi if you think about it, 1.2 meters is basically a walkway already. A safe walkway that the PWDs can use to navigate the parking lot. Kunyari lang, so this is the PWD parking space. Kunyari they have to, for some reason they need to go here. What we don't want for them to do is to use the driveway to go there. Kaya ayaw natin na may nakikita tayo nag-wheelchair dito because that could be dangerous again for them. Moving cars dito, tapos then sila nag-wheelchair. This is a protected space where they can, that they can use to navigate the parking lot. Like they can just do it here. They don't have to be exposed to the moving cars at all. And that's the purpose of the 1.2 meter gap between the front ends of the parked cars.